Hello, Kem here, and I wanted to do a quick update video to show how the Dual Strike build's getting on. It's come along pretty nicely. I'm cruising through T16 maps, dealing with pinnacle bosses fairly comfortably as well. So I'm sitting at level 93 right now, and getting close to doing all of my map completions. In terms of investment level, probably only a couple of divines into the build right now, so I'm just full rare gear, nothing too crazy. I'll be going over my gear in a bit more detail shortly, so you'll see what sort of level I'm working with currently. DPS sitting at around 6 mil right now with correct configs and POB. So my weapons, which I picked up on quite a budget, have carried me nicely through sort of early endgame, so for the T16s and boss fights, with plenty more room to scale even further. It's quite a basic setup right now, so as I start adding the relevant uniques to the build, this will, skyrocket. Defensive layers then. Defensively, pretty strong right now. I'd say the only thing I've got some issues with are degens and ailments, but especially if I'm unable to leech life. But I'm hoping with some more chaos res and ailment immunity, this should solve pretty much all of these issues. Despite the lower max hits on the build, I'm rarely finding big hits to be a problem, honestly. Unless there's like multiple horrible mods stacked, which, I think any build struggles with. I need to get a little bit more life regen as well, because as it stands with Blood Rage, I am losing a little bit of life per second, but honestly, once you're mapping and leeching life, it's really not noticeable at all. So, in terms of some tests that I've done so far then, I just wanted to speak again a little bit about the bleed stuff. So, currently, I'm using the Feral Bloodline, but I thought before I go into that, I'll give the Bleed Ascendancy another go. So this, along with the 4 points on the tree spec'd in, gave me a 35% chance to bleed, and I was finding it was working at an okay rate, but honestly, I didn't notice enough of a difference to my clear speed to justify dropping the Hunt Leader Bloodline. The current investment into the build, I felt the attack speed was a little under where I wanted it to be, so the Feral Ascendancy just completely covers this. I've kept the bleed wheel on the passive tree though, because this gives access to high crit chance quite early. So, the level of investment right now is, is pretty ideal for that. Yeah, we've only got a little bit of a chance to bleed, but because of how fast we attack, this is always up on bosses anyway, and anything that's tanky. I think once we've got the double cluster setup going though, I think it's worth revisiting Gratuitous Violence. As the Hunt Leader Bloodline actually becomes less effective as gearing improves, because you get higher crit chance and attack speed from other sources, which kind of makes the percent increase not as effective. In terms of Atlas strategy, I've gone into quite a generic tree where I just go into like the different shaping nodes for map sustain, and then I've also filled it out with Jun and Heist. So Heist for me is just, it's a nice thing to go into early. It doesn't take up any time in the maps, so you can just focus on progressing. And I've also gone into Jun. So even though I'm playing in trade, I'm normally an SSF player, so I like to try and farm, the mechanics myself. And because obviously Paradoxica is quite an important piece for the build, what I've done is I've gone into Jun to try and farm that myself. Now, just a note for people who are doing this, I'm not sure if it's updated this league, but I haven't seen anything to say otherwise. You can only drop the Paradoxica in the Intervention safe house. So, I know some of the setups you generally just run Research and Transportation, but for me, I've gone into Research and Intervention. Okay, and I'll quickly go over my gear now. So in my main hand I've got this Legion sword. So Jun this league's spitting out these fractured items, and you can pick them up for quite cheap on trade. So the crafting method I done was got this base, Fizz Essence until I got any hybrid Fizz, and then just craft on crit strike chance, and that'll do for now. In the offhand, You want to try and get a claw with above or around 2 attacks per second. And again, I just got a fractured one here and hit it with the attack speed essence until I had an open prefix and just crafted on fizz. Again, that's fine for now. Helmet, not great, it's just a bit of a placeholder with int on it. Amulet, again, similar sort of story, it's okay. Endurance charge on kills quite nice, but it's not mandatory at all. I don't have an anoint yet. A cheap anoint you can go with is Mark the Prey, because I think it only needs a black oil, which again is quite easy to self-farm or buy off trade. Eventually we'll be going for Whispers of Doom, but I wouldn't anoint that on an amulet like this. My rings are just kind of standard for now, just a bit of flat fizz and some resistance, so again quite similar. The chest piece is quite good. This is probably one of the most expensive pieces on the build right now, so I bought the 6-link Conquest Lamella for around a divine, and then hit some reforged defenses in Harvest until I got this, and then got some Eldritch currency and got the Eldritch implicits we need. Belt, again just standard. So I think this was from Jun because it has the Unveil, Armor Evasion, but again just life. Well, no, I don't have life, but just reses, stuff like that. Boots, just movement speed, a couple of reses, nothing special. The gloves are pretty good. So early on I just wanted to prioritize the chest and the gloves. So I've got the Impale, only a low tier, does a little bit but not too much, and then the additional strikes, and then the suffixes are perfect honestly, just T1 attack speed, chaos res and cold res, and then a bit of flat fizz and damage while leeching. And in terms of the flasks, we've got the Jade and Granite with increased armor, increased evasion, so that helps with the defenses. And then Diamond Flask, just give us more crit. And I've got the enchant on this used when you hit a rare or unique enemy, because I don't feel like you need it going off constantly, and I want to have it for rares and uniques. And then this one I use myself just on tankier enemies. In terms of jewels, I've just got one jewel on the build right now, which is down here, and this is just, yeah, it's just a solid all-rounder. I think I hit Global Fizz on the Exalt Slam. It's quite nice actually being able to use Exalts this league as well, as they're a bit more common. So you can slam those jewels. So in 3.28 they've obviously introduced the Imbued gems, which corrupts your skills with a level 1 support. Now I haven't looked into this too much, just purely from a progress point of view. So, but from the brief amount I have looked into it, it does just seem like going for a strength coin. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but basically the one that corrupts it to give you a strength support is probably going to be the play, just because, you know, there's more red gems that will benefit the build. So I've looked at a few that we haven't got on the build currently. So obviously if we were to corrupt Fortify, that's probably one of the better ones honestly, because it means we can drop the implicit on the chest. It will give us more damage as well, and it's just going to be a more consistent uptime as well. There's some other ones as well, like Cruelty, Volatility and Maim, but also if you were to hit one of these, yes, you wouldn't be able to get the level 20 versions of the gems, but swapping them out for something else that, you know, might only be 5% less damage is still going to be a net benefit overall. You know, it's probably give us at least maybe 15% more damage. But there is one more thing as well. Having that 7th link is obviously going to up the mana cost. So I think once you go for that, you're probably going to want to have minus mana cost on your jewelry as well. Okay, so what's next? I think the first thing I'll go for is the free mod cluster jewels. So quick and deadly, deadly repartee, and ideally martial prowess as a third. Rislafa's coil, probably the single best item to scale the DPS. I'll finish off all my rares, get chaos res capped. Look to get a Watcher's Eye with the Impale mod on it. a physical percent Light of Meaning to get ailment immunity, which I'll get through the Storm Shroud duel, and then I'll craft boots with chance to avoid being shocked, and then also finish off with the Forbidden Flame and Flesh Master of Metal. There is one more thing. Before I even made this build, I kind of had my eye on a strength stack variant for min-maxing, so what I'll probably do is look to finish off that list, which should give me a really strong character, and then I'm going to look into how to push it even further into a strength stack variant with the Replica Alberons, because they just give so much flat damage and they're pretty ridiculous. So, yep, that's all for now. There'll be a Poe Ninja link in the description as well, where you can just track the progress of my character as I'm playing. So, you know, if you're curious where I'm at, you can check that link. Thanks for tuning in, and let's grind.